And once you have this love in your heart, put it into a little sphere and send it down into Mother Earth. And just wait. Send it right into the core of Mother Earth. And just wait a few minutes and wait for her to return her love to you. And she always will. And once you feel that love return, let it flow throughout all of your body. Feel it enter all of your cells. Move it around and fill yourself up. And without losing that connection, visualize a night sky. See all the planets, the stars, the galaxies. And feel the love that you have for Father Sky. And when it fills your heart, send it out to Father Sky. You can send it out to the grids if you're familiar with the grids. You can send it out to the sun or the great central sun. Whatever feels comfortable for you. And just wait for him to return that love to you. And he always will as well. And so now notice your consciousness in your head. Feel yourself in there. Feel the skull around you. Feel how enclosed it feels, protected. And now, just move your consciousness down into your throat chakra. And notice what that feels like. Notice how open it is, how soft. And just bring your attention back up into your pineal gland, your consciousness. And notice how that feels. Once again, bring your consciousness down into your throat chakra. Feel the openness of the throat chakra. And now just move over to your shoulder, to your right shoulder. And just look back up at your head. See your head up there. And notice how different it looks to be looking at yourself from this perspective. And now just move down your arm to your elbow. And then moving down into the palm of your hand. And looking at your fingers. Look what your fingers look like. And now turning your attention towards the palm of your hand and holding it up in front of your face. And see what it looks like to see yourself from the palm of your hand. And if you can't, that's okay too. Just imagine that you're seeing yourself there. Because when we open our eyes and we close our eyes, we can still see everything. It's still right there. We remember what it looks like. So we can remember what we look like. Some of you will be able to do this easily and some of you not. And that's all good. And so now take your consciousness back up to your elbow and up to your arm. Into your throat chakra and back up into your head. And you can open your eyes. So does anybody want to share what they experienced moving around like that? Was everybody able to move around? Yeah? Awesome. Okay. So we're going to go back in now, and we're going to close our eyes, and we're going to move into the heart. So closing your eyes and take a deep breath. And moving down from your pineal gland into your throat chakra. And now move down to your chest, just till you see your heart to the left of you. And turn and face the heart. And now step into your heart. And see what that feels like. See what you see. Hear what you hear. Feel what you feel. Just get used to what that feels like in your heart. How different the energy is from your throat chakra, from your arm, from your head. And just coming back up into your throat chakra and into your head. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Does everybody notice the difference it feels like to be down in that heart space versus your head? Does it feel very feminine? Pardon me? Expansive, yeah. That's what the heart is, expansive. When we're in our head, it's contracted. Everything's like closes in. We make all these plans, and those plans don't work out. We get all emotional because we're up here instead of down here. And so it's really important just to move down into there. And so that's what it's like to be in the heart space. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go down and we're going to go into the sacred space of the heart. But there's a few ways of getting down into there. There's a male way, which is like we have a torus field around here that's like 10 feet in diameter that's connected to the sacred space of the heart. And so Drunvalo has, it says it like to pretend you're a leaf on there, and you can just flow around and around and around until you fall down into that center, and then you're down into there. But there's also a female way, which is like very intuitive, and we just pretend that we're in there, and then we're in there, and we feel that vibration. But for today, what we're going to do is we're going to go in through the way that Jesus taught people how to do it, because once you're in there, then you can find your own way back through the vibration that's in there, and you can go in there if you're female, just by, like he said, just going and imagining that you're back in there, because you'll know what that space feels like. So Jesus' way is to make your way down to your heart and go around to the back of your heart, and your heart is put together, it's like this. And so there's a crease in there, and in that crease there's a vortex. And so what you want to do is you want to just kind of stick your face up into that vortex and have it suck yourself in there. And when you stop, you'll just come to a place that's very still, and you just ask for the light to be coming on. And when the light comes on, which it may or may not right away, it might come on a little bit, it might not, it's totally everybody's individual. And so I'm just going to leave you in there to meditate for probably about 15 minutes. And then we'll come out and we'll talk about some more your experiences and some more stuff with you. Okay? So if you have something to blind yourself with, it's really good to be in that space with your eyes closed, because it's like covered. It's much better. The darker the better. When we do my workshop, we're going to have one up in Kula, and it's really important to have a blindfold, because we use it a lot. Like at least 40% of the workshop is done blindfolded, so that we can get out of our mind and into our hearts. And we also shut the pineal gland down, because the pineal is very active. And when it's shut down, then it's really easy to get into the sacred space of the heart. So just taking a deep breath with your eyes closed. Feel what it feels like to be in your head, enclosed in your skull. And moving your consciousness down into your throat chakra. Moving down into beside your heart, and moving around to the back of your heart, and And remembering the deep reverence of love for Father Sky and Mother Earth. See the vortex there? And just put your face into the vortex and feel it pulling you in, all the way in, until you come to a place that's very still. And just ask for a light to come on. And explore this place. Look around, see what it is. This place is referred to as the Akashic Records. And so in there you'll learn everything about yourself that you need to know or want to know. And what I discovered is it tells you things a little bit by little bit. Every time you go in there, you explore a little bit more. And so just enjoy your space in there. Opening your eyes or taking your mask off. Do your best to keep your consciousness down in that sacred space. So was there anyone not able to get in there? Good. Did everybody get the light on? What did you think of the vibration? Everybody? Peaceful? So the more you go into that space, the more that you see in there, the more you discover about yourself. And I teach in my workshop, I teach within that sacred space of the heart, there's a tiny space in the heart, and what we do in that space is like your connection to God. It's your connection to the higher self. It's like a little space inside there, and it also has a tordio field. And when we did the teacher's workshop in July, because Drinvalo always had the Merkaba, he had a process for doing it. And so that process was connected to the brain. And so this is the first workshop that he's ever done that he connected it directly into the heart. Because when we go into the tiny space, we have a process that we go through and create with the green light and out through the pituitary chakra. But so with this new way of doing it, he teaches about the sacred space of the heart first, and then he teaches about creation from the tiny space. And when we do that, we automatically, one of the first things we did was get a permanent Merkaba, so you don't have to do the process anymore, and it's connected directly to your heart space. And it feels very different. Like the other one, it felt really light and like a lot of light. Where this one, it feels light, but it's like, it feels gold, and it is gold. That's what I noticed, and it's very different. And when I did it, the tordio field for my tiny space, it was like little electric all over my body for at least a half an hour, an hour. I don't know if anybody else had the same reaction, but I never heard any of it. And then all the rest of my body was like little electrical jolts. It was like, I never experienced that doing it the other way through the brain. And so what a star tetrahedron looks like. This is the Merkaba, or the star tetrahedron, so it's pretty small, I know. But this one here is the way it faces on the female. So there's 3 of these around the body. There's a male one, a female one, and a neutral one. And so the male spins at a ratio of 34 this way, and the female 21 this way. And then the Merkaba, it puts out a big disc, and what that does is it spins to the left at a ratio of 13, so the difference between the two. And then there's a neutral one, so you can actually see this one, so that's why you can see when you make the permanent one, you can actually see it sitting there, because there is a neutral one not moving, but the other one is spinning at 9/10 the speed of light, so you will never see those ones. But on the female, the Merkaba sits with the flat face of the top tetrahedron. The top one is the sun tetrahedron, and the bottom one is the earth tetrahedron. And so the females sit with the flat like this, and the males, they have the point coming down from the front. And so all of our chakras are also little star tetrahedrons. So the point would be up like this, and on the bottom one, it would be down. It would be pointing like this too, and they spin like this. But these ones here that are all on our chakras, they're sideways, and they spin like this because our chakras spin that direction. And anytime we want to know which way our chakra spins, what you can do is you can put your thumb into that chakra, and your fingers will spin around this way, and that's which way the chakra spins. So if you know, like if you're doing energy work or somebody's done it to you and you don't feel so good, it could be that they've done that backwards if they didn't know. So just so your own personal information as well. These are little DOS discs that Drunvalo presents at his workshops, and they're from Brazil, and these doctors come and found Drunvalo, and because they've been doing research on the Merkabas and the chakras, and they found them to be star tetrahedrons. And then they found Drunvalo's work where he mentioned that they were all star tetrahedrons, so they come and they see them and they showed him these discs. And what they do is they, if you put them over your chakra, I got 7 of them. You put them over the chakra, and they make the chakra go back to perfectly functioning chakra. So if you're emotional, like the chakra will be like way out here instead of like 2 to 5 inches. They're very cool. When you put them on, you fall asleep most of the time, and so you wake up like 3/4 hour and a half later, something like that. It even knocked this one guy out for like 3 hours, and he woke up, he felt really good. But it depends on where you're at, you know, physically, emotionally, mentally. But that's what they're for balancing. So does anybody want to share their experience? Somebody's got to share. Come on, I can see over there.
When I started, I felt like I was in a very expansive place, and I just saw gold. All around.
Yes.
And then I saw me looking at me, which was very weird. And I went, huh?
Nice.
And then I just kind of stayed.
If you go back in there, do this again, and you keep going back in there, that'll expand more, and you'll be able to see more. But today it's good. You got in there, you got to see some stuff. You know what it feels like to be in that space. It's good. You're welcome. Yes?
I ended up going in and I was sitting on a lotus flower.
Uh-huh.
And I just kept getting heart of the lotus, heart of the lotus. And I could feel the energy. It was like surrounding, and it's like feminine and neutral, which is the same as unconditional. It just felt wonderful to sit right there on the love and being surrounded, protected, and it was just the heart of the lotus.
Nice. And that's what it is. It's that place is very different for everybody. So everybody here will all have had a different experience. Yeah. Does anybody else want to share? Mm-hmm. And we have very long time. It were very scary? What was happening?
I was like going somewhere.
Well, when you're in your sacred space of your heart, nothing scary can happen in there because it's not polarity. So if something like that did happen, it could be because you went back up into your head. Yeah, nothing, because it's not, in our brain we're polarity, so the positive, the negative, all of that can happen. So when you're in your heart space, it's something like that's happening, you can know that you're just back up in your head. And that's where we're used to being anyway, so it's very easy just to go back up there, right? So if something happens like that again, just be aware of it, and then just go back down into your heart space again. Anybody else want to share?
When I was going down in there, it seemed like I was going through almost like tunnels. I guess it was the swirl that you were saying. Anyway, but then when I did get in there, it was more of like an underground cavern.
Yeah.
And right in the middle was this beautiful spring or a little, pool of water, quite a big pool of water. But the light was coming up from underneath it, and it was blue, a beautiful aqua blue type color. But I was knowing that it wasn't water. And I was contemplating of getting in, but I didn't get in. So
next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I have a friend too that did the same thing. She has her little bathtub with all her crystals in there, and she got in there and had her little bath. It's like a cleansing. It's cute. Everybody's got their different thing in there. It's awesome. And you missed, you guys. Sorry. Yeah, because was it you that was asking how to get into your heart space? I can't remember if you wanted to work.
Oh, I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I'm always trying to do. And since coming to Maui a couple days ago, everything that had hidden in the heart has come up.
Yeah.
To be dissolved in the heart.
Yeah.
So everything that my mind is coming up to around fears has come up to be dissolved in the ground.
Yeah, I know. Hawaiian Islands are magical, eh?
Yeah.
The energy is just intense. I got off the plane and I'm like, I gotta eat something because I was up since 3 o'clock in the morning traveling, and I'm just like, I gotta eat something and ground myself. Driving the rental car is not a good idea to be driving like that. Should I take more insurance out? Yeah, it's funny. Does anybody else want to share? Okay, I'm going to share my experience because part of my workshop is we teach about whatever is outside, out there, is really part of us. And Dringo met, I think it was Edgar Mitchell, he was an astronaut that went on to the moon, and he told Dringo that NASA has this secret machine that it proves that whatever is right here on this earth is also out there in the stars. As above, so below. It's the same exact thing. And so what they did was they experimented with it, and they put a human being into this machine. And what they could see in the machine was the stars and the planets and everything, but not just any stars and planets, just exactly the way it was in the sky at that particular moment. And so then they clipped the person's fingernails, because we are holographic, right? So they clipped the person's fingernails and put the fingernails into the machine, and it proved the same thing, that the constellations and everything, just as it was in the night sky right now, was showing up on the machine. And so I'll tell you my little experience, because it's also so without, so within, same concept, right? And in 2001, I went to this workshop down in Salt Lake City, and they called it the Secret Chamber of the Heart, which is, I think it's from Israel, I'm not sure. But, so we did the same thing. We did the journey into the secret chamber, and it was like lots of light, but I saw these 3 shadow beings in there. And then I never went back into that space, and then I went into Druvill's workshop, and you know, I tried to, first I had to do the book, because you have to take read all these different books to go to his workshop, and so when I tried to do it again, into the heart, there was lots of light, and there was these 3 little shadow beings, right, and I didn't know what they were, and I'm like, I'm not going in there, that's it, right, but I'll just say that I went in there, and I'll go to Druvill's workshop, and I'll go in there, right, because then I know it's safe, right, because he knows what he's doing, right, and so, yeah, there we are, we're going into the workshop, we're going into the sacred space, you know, everything's right. And I go in there, and it takes me a while to get the light on, so I'm like, okay, I'll light some candles just so I got some light. But the candles don't really beam out light, they just, it's a weird kind of light when it comes on in there. And so I'm looking around, and I can see like pictures on the wall, but I can only see one picture, and it's got the stars and the planets on it, and I'm like, okay, but all the rest are kind of blanked out. And then I go around, I can see a door, and I can just see all light coming out from that door. And on this wall, there was the 3 candles that I lit up. And then I could see these plants, because I did some Peruvian plant diets. And so my plants, mapacho, which is tobacco, and ahusacho, which is garlic, wild garlic from the jungle of Peru. And I could see a fountain over here with the water, like a waterfall. And then I looked up the sky. First I looked at the floor, and it was like a cave, but it started disappearing, and it became like the stars, right? And I'm like, wow, that's trippy. And I look up, and the roof disappears, and it becomes like the stars. And then I'm out in the middle of nowhere in the universe, and I see this little spaceship pull up with these 3 little beings in it, the 3 shadow guys, right? And they're like, we've been waiting for you, right? Get in! So then I'm in their spaceship, just thinking that I'm in the spaceship, and I go. And what they do, I don't know if you guys know anything about spaceships, but also they teach in Egyptian, what you have to do is you have to make a 90-degree turn. And so it was just like that. It was like a 90-degree turn, and we were out to the great central sun. And we went out there, and I met my parents, and they told me what I was doing on the planet right now is to heal people with light and sound and energy, and to take Drumville's work out and to teach the people, because it's really important that people get into their heart space, and that's all we've been hearing this whole day, and it was so beautiful to listen to everybody talk about that's where we need to be, and we need to have fun. So these little guys in their spaceship was a lot of fun, right? And so then that's over, and they're like, where do you want to go? And I'm like, I want to go to a nebula, right? So they're like, okay, and off we go again, and then we're in this nebula, and I'm outside floating, and they take off, and I'm just enjoying all the colors and everything, and it's like so beautifully, like you see in those pictures, they're just amazing. And then I start thinking about this ceremony that I got to do at my house when I get back, and with these people, and my brain's getting dragged over there, and then I realized, oh yeah, I'm out in the nebula, why am I thinking about these things? So I went back into the nebula, and I could feel myself getting pulled more and more down into the room, and Drumville's like, okay, we can all come back now, and just come back into your sacred space, but keep yourself there. And I was like, wow, and I opened up my eyes, and my heart chakra was like pounding. I thought it was going to pound out of my chest, and I never experienced anything like that again, right? I've been in there many times, but never experienced that kind of experience. Many other experiences of where more pictures have been shown to me, more things have showed up in my room. I know what the crystal, the door is with the light. It's like, the light is like from a crystal in there, and it's like these little beings that are about this high, and they look like the grays, but they're not grays, and they're just full of light. They come through that, and they're actually in one of my pictures. And yeah, they transport themselves in and out through that crystal in there. So it really shows you what's inside of here is really outside of there. And that's, if you keep going and keep doing this work, that's what you'll find out too. And it's exciting because it's different every time that you go in there. So that's my little talk. And I have, I'm going to be using these Dostis tomorrow over there with, in one of the booths. And I also have some brochures for the workshop that I'll be doing up in Kula on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a 3-day workshop. But it's very, the first day is a lot of healing the heart. That's what the whole focus is about. It's about connecting to your higher self, your angel, God, and to heal your heart. And then the next 2 days are all about going into the sacred space, learning the creation process, how to use your tongue and the roof of your mouth and up through your thumbs, create the alpha, which is joy. So it's really important to remember this because people, you need to get the green light to do this, and sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue, it's all these different shapes. And people get frustrated because they don't get the green light, but I was one of those people. But then I found out that, you know what, I'm not happy because I'm frustrated now because I can't get the green light. And so then you get more and more frustrated, and so it's just to let the green light go, and if you can't get there, no big deal, right? Just to remember to be in that joy, because you'll get there anyways. As long as you can keep going in there and be in the joy, you'll find your way in there. You'll find the way to the green light, you know, and this whole process is new, so you'll find yourself getting out of your heart space and into your head more. Back in you go. Just remember, you know how to get in there now, so just do your best just to keep going back in there as much as you can. Thank you. 2 minutes left. So does anybody have any questions or anything? The one that I showed you is with Jesus. He taught this to the people. And so, because you're a female, if you want, you can go and just, you know, imagine, you remember what's in that space, so just imagine yourself being back in that space again, if you want. Or you can go in the tordio field and go down into that space. However it works for you, it's all good. Just as long as you know that vibration, you know what it looks like, you know, if the light didn't come on for you, just trust. Light a candle, or 2 or 3. Well, there's actually 3, and they all work together. You can't have just one or just the other. So, to the left, and then female, 21 to the right. Yeah, and then there's the neutral one that sits there. So when you look at somebody, you can actually see their Merkaba. And so when that's activated, because it's all there, it's our geometric that's around, it's our sacred geometry that's around our body anyways, it's just not active. And that was one of Drunvalo's big things that he came here for. He came as a walk-in, was to correct the Merkaba of Mother Earth, because that all the Merkaba is around the feminine energy, and what's been happening on the planet is very masculine. And so now that's changing around, so he come to correct that and to correct the grids, because the old grid is collapsing. That's the whole consciousness that everybody's waiting for it to go, because what the US and Russia discovered was the grid that's in place now, every point where it connects around the outside, it's like looking at all of this, right? So what they would do on planet Earth is they would make a military base there. And so what that would do was that consciousness would go out to the grid. So you see the military bases all over the world, that's what they're there for, to keep that consciousness on the planet. Well, all of that is, it can't be there anymore. There's too much feminine energy coming to the planet now. And so there's a new grid that's up, and it's a Christ consciousness grid. A lot like this one. I like it. And yeah, so it's coming online. And every, like the 111, the 222, now the 111111, it's like another part of the grid gets flipped on. And so the 12-12-12 is going to be the last piece, and then the 12-21 where everything lines up. It's kind of like a reboot period. And that's where the the real alignment is going to come with the Mayan calendar. It's you know, the Mayans haven't said too much about what's actually going on, but they're in Sedona on the 7th of November with Drunvalo doing the crystal skull ceremonies. They started it yesterday in Manhattan, and so on the 11/11/11 they're going to be doing it in Los Angeles. But they're not speaking too much about what's going on, but they will be soon, and all of their ceremonies are going to be open and in the public soon, because they need everybody to know what the truth is about that, instead of everybody, you know, talking different things. But it's all happening, you know, it's all really started 2010. Like, it's been going on for a long time, but the real beginning of it is 2010, and the window of time is up to 2015. But you know, it's not like, oh, something's going to shift right now. It's how we shift within ourselves. The more people that get in line with and in their heart space, that's going to help. It's like we can beam, you know, we can beam before, but when we're in our heart space, we can really beam because we're connected to all that is out there. And it's really important.
On those crystal skulls, do you know how that they have now?
They have 13, and there's another one coming from the Orient. Yeah, they have all of them together now. And so, Lilu Mace, when I landed yesterday and I was in the bar shaking, I flipped open my laptop, and she was just waiting for Drunvalo to come online to do an interview. And so she did her own little thoughts on October 28th and what she thought about it all. But this morning, before I come here, I got to watch that interview with Drunvalo. And basically, he said that basically they're just waiting, and all that information is going to come out. November 7th, they're going to do a broadcast to talk about what's going on. But what I heard in the teachers' workshop, and he says it now in the interview with Lilu Mace, is this group of people have rented Chichen Itza, and they've rented it for December 21st, 2012. And what they wanted to do, they're involved with Cirque du Soleil, is they wanted to do Cirque du Soleil there. And what they're doing, that this group is all about, is raising the vibration of the planet and getting people into their heart space. And then these people realize, we're doing this whole Mayan date thing with no permission from the Mayans, and so they knew that Drunvalo knew the people, and so they went to Drunvalo. Drunvalo went to the Mayan High Council and talked to them, so they had to go back and talk to the rest of them, and then they went back and talked to Drunvalo, and they go, this was part of the prophecy, and we didn't know how this was actually going to happen, but part of it was on that date, they were going to speak to the world, and they didn't know how they were going to do it. So they said, if we're allowed to speak to the world, then yeah, you have our permission. So Drunvalo went back to these people, and so what's happening now is there's going to be a big ceremony and with Cirque du Soleil, and they're going to be in the middle of that at Chichen Itza. So now they get to do their ceremony, because first the Mexican government said, no, you're not doing any ceremony there. So they're like, how can we do this? This really needs to be done. So Cirque du Soleil brought them in. You're doing all of this ceremony now in the middle of all of this, and they're inviting elders from all over the world to come and to share their wisdom. So December 21st, 2012 is going to be very exciting, and it's getting broadcast through Google and through all these different places, so that what their thing is they want to have 2.5 billion people watching, because the indigenous people really don't need to watch, because they're in their heart space most of the time anyways, right? It's all the rest of the people that aren't in their heart space. They want everybody to be watching, because that's what their intention is to put everybody in their heart space. So can you imagine the energy that's going to be happening when they do that all over the world at once? It's going to be amazing.